Good morning, everyone. We've got a couple of minutes for the join. I can see attendees on screen at the beginning still, so let's just hang on a couple of minutes so that everyone is on board. But yeah, good morning. For those of you just joining, we'll be making a start in a few seconds, just waiting for a number of other attendees to log in. So just bear with us another minute or so. Okay, let's begin. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. Warm welcome to you all from the IVSS team. My name is Andy Woods. I'm the head of sales at IVSS, and I'm joined today by Andrew Daniels from Microsoft, Justine Taylor, who's our IVSS pre-sales manager, and Matt McCall, our IVSS head of digital solutions. Our presentation today will take around half an hour. If you have any questions as we go along, please put these in the meeting chat, which is the questions box on the right-hand side of the screen, and we can allocate some time at the end of the session to go through these. During the session, we'll also be adding some polls to the discussion, and it would be really helpful if you could respond to these. Nothing too onerous. Okay, so as you're probably aware, following on from our divestment from Capita in 2023 and under our new ownership as part of the ADVT group, we've been working hard to build out our future plans, product roadmap, and more will follow on that in due course, with some future events planned for us to articulate our direction, technology, and product roadmap in much more detail. But forever at the heart of our future strategy is the commitment to our Azure hosting solution via our partnership with Microsoft, together with our wraparound managed service and the added in-house capabilities to harness the Azure platform technologies via our digital solutions team. As you know, we've seen an unprecedented number of high-profile cyber attacks and security breaches in recent months, both in public and private sector, and it's a scary and challenging world right now. So I'm delighted today to welcome Andrew Daniels from Microsoft. Andrew will walk through some of the tangible benefits of the Azure platform and why we feel it's the right choice for our clients. My colleague Justine Taylor will then talk about our wraparound managed service, which is designed to optimize Integra in the Azure environment. And Matt McCall will then talk about how our IVSS digital solutions team can harness Microsoft's Azure technologies to build a robust, secure, and stable platform for future development and digital transformation. The theme of today's session is do more with less. It's about providing you with appropriate technologies to steer your focus away and from worrying about the delivery of your Integra back office solution. It's about shifting focus to what you do best in delivering front office solutions and frontline services which make a difference to your citizens and patients alike. So I hope that you enjoyed today's session. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Andrew Daniels. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks, ADVT, for having me today. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here to discuss the partnership with Centros, with Integra on the Microsoft Azure platform, and crucially what that means for all of you as customers. So Why Azure? I think Andrew alluded to it. We're all facing increasingly changing times. We had a global pandemic that changed how many of us come to work. We've got inflation, skills gaps, putting pressure on all our organisations' budgets, and we think that's affecting all of us in every industry. And when it's really, really hard to predict what the future holds, we think at Microsoft organisations that simplify their operations, that adopt flexible cloud-based services, will emerge as more resilient and achieve objectives faster. Public cloud, it's this mega trend. It's one of the fastest growth markets globally. Here in the UK today, Microsoft customers consume over $100 million of cloud usage every single day. What's driving those trends? How can the partnership and the work we're doing with Integra and Centros benefit you as an organisation? I'm just going to talk about three themes today. I'm going to talk about flexibility. So yes, entering new markets quickly, scaling up, scaling down technology without having to do large capacity planning, but also crucially adopting new technology that adds value at pace. One example being there are hundreds of new foundational AI models that everyone wants to get their hands on and get to grips with. Having your applications in a platform like Azure brings those experiences next to the application and can help you quickly adopt intelligent experiences for your users. I'm going to talk about trust. Andrew mentioned this, security, downtime. No one wants service outages, but when outages happen, you want to be working with the experts. I'll talk about how Microsoft's defending your data and what we're doing to lower downtime. And I'm also going to talk about the carbon maths. It really matters. Data centers, technology, they're a significant contributor to global emissions. Sustainability matters. We need to get really smart about how we solve some of these problems, and you'll hear a little bit about how public cloud, in contrast to private cloud or doing some of this yourself, is helping lower as much as 1/3 of the emissions from some of your technology footprint. So the first thing I'm going to do is just double click a little bit into trust and resiliency. And I have to step back a little bit to talk about what is the Microsoft Azure platform. This is our global technology platform that we use to provide the technology where our customers need it. So Microsoft, we have 200 physical data centers arranged in more than 65 regions that you can see on the screen. And we're the largest provider of networking, connectivity, storage, cloud services, bigger than all the other providers combined. And if we zoom into the UK, that's where many of us are on from today. We've got 2 data center regions. We've also got sites we use in Europe. And just this year, because of the growth we've seen, we've made an additional commitment to invest another $2.5 billion just into our UK data centers. And that's to bring online more than 1 million what we call GPUs, graphical processing units, to the UK economy. And that's the hardware that's needed to meet the demand for new AI models. And all this scale, what does it mean for Integra Centros customers? This is how we distribute risk. So Integra Centros can design a platform to deploy your applications across all these sites, across millions of servers. And this is how, this is the same platform we use for Teams, Office, Xbox, LinkedIn, Bing, so that we can provide services low latency when our customers need them. I'm just going to click down one more level as well and just talk about some of the detail and the deployment patterns that are now available to Integra and Centros when they partner up with Microsoft on Azure. So you heard me talk about Azure regions and how we're made up of multiple data centers. Well, each data center, that's sort of a 100 megawatt facility. Think of tens of thousands of servers in a building. And in the first instance, Integra and Centros can now deploy applications to make use of what you see on the screen here called availability sets in a data center. So availability sets from Microsoft and Centros, that's what we use to duplicate an environment. So we can perform some maintenance, some upgrades on one set of hardware, and your application can redirect users, redirect traffic to a duplicate copy of that data. For example, we write your data 3 times to Azure storage accounts. We only charge you for one of those copies. But it's that concept with availability sets that means every component of your application is duplicated and distributed to reduce the risk of downtime. And it's this pattern that allows Integra and Centros apps teams to design to achieve 99.9% uptime. That's less than 8 hours of downtime per year. And when you want to go further, we also have a concept called availability zones. So think about everything I've just talked to you about for availability sets and duplicate that to another region. So Dublin, for example, our EU North region, has 12 data centers. Each of those data centers are split into, so those 12 data centers are split into 3 availability sets. So think about the 3 availability zones. So think about what I told you about availability sets, but now you've got separate buildings, separate networking, separate hardware and utility providers. And that's the availability zones are what allow us to further distribute your risk and design applications to achieve a 99.99% uptime. So now you're looking at less than 50 minutes of downtime a year. And for your most critical business applications, we have a concept called region pairs, 2 regions in the UK. So you introduce that whole other data center complex, it's more than 100 miles away from the previous location, and deploying across all of these tiers, Integros, Centros, Integra, they can achieve uptimes of 6 nines or 99.9999% uptime, and that's less than 31 seconds of disruption a year. And I think that's in stark contrast to the private cloud model that you're seeing on the screen here. So when you deploy and manage your applications yourself, you're having to manage all these components that you see on the screen: storage, networking, compute, the life cycles of each of those platforms, the maintenance, the skills you need on all of those. This is the model that has provided a UK average downtime, so each organization seeing 95 minutes of downtime every 3 months. And when you look at some of the recent outages we've just seen, big press around the CrowdStrike event, that was a software quality issue from CrowdStrike. It affected 1% of Microsoft's global Windows devices on-prem and in cloud. And to me, that highlights the sort of wide societal economic impacts of outages. It's global news. Centros, Integra customers were not affected, and everything I've talked about today, Microsoft and ADVT can take those steps to help mitigate some of that risk for you as a managed customer. But when outages do happen and you're deployed to public cloud, it really helps to have the experts on hand ready to provide relief quickly. When you hear in the press about organizations still affected from things like CrowdStrike, those are the organizations who are having to manually fix each of those steps on each of these components. So Microsoft, we think really, really hard about solving these problems. Enterprises trust Microsoft to be ready when incidents happen. And we think this frees up all of your organization's time to focus your capital, your people on your business outcomes. Reliability is one half of the one side of the triangle, I guess. There's also cyber. In cyber, signals are what really matter. You really can't protect what you can't see. And Microsoft as a platform, we have more signals than anyone. So Microsoft, as you can see here, we receive 65 trillion signals a day. That's a huge amount of data that we get from our global users, all our cloud services. We've got 8,500 security experts interrogating all that data every day to look for behaviors, to look for signals. And when we combine that with Integra and Centros's application expertise, we think that leaves nowhere to hide for bad actors. And that's how we empower millions of our customers to combat even the most sophisticated attackers. Cyber defense goes hand in hand with compliance. I quite like this one actually. I think every pound you spend on a service that's hosted in Azure is a pound you spend on getting the audits and the compliance that you need to operate in government, financial services, healthcare, education. Do you want to be investing your organization's time in going out and getting your Cyber Essentials badge, your ISO certifications, your SOC compliances? Integra Centros customers deployed to Azure can access these reports and share them with your auditors. So switching track slightly, I talked about sustainability. I said before the carbon maths really counts, but before I talk into what Microsoft is doing, I quite like this picture. This is from a demo in London. That's what 1 ton of CO2 looks like. It's bigger than a double-decker bus. And Microsoft's made a commitment to be carbon negative by 2030 and to remove all the carbon we've ever produced as a company since our founding by 2050. So yes, we're looking at all our emissions, our scope 1, 2, 3 emissions, but for today's call, I just want to focus on the data center. So if your applications are moved from an industry standard data center to Azure, you will save tons of carbon, the picture you saw before. We think really hard about some of the problems you can see on the screen, right? So machine utilization, for us, that's how much output we get from the hardware that we put into our data centers. Industry average, 51%. So we achieve 84% in Azure today. That's how we drive efficiency, that's how we drive scale. Renewable energy, we'll be on track next year to be 100% renewable energy across our global data center footprint. We have a concept of cycling circular data centers, recycling all the materials that go into our data center buildings. Again, on track to be 90% of all those materials recycled by next year. I think the last one's a really critical one. It's a bit technical, but power usage efficiency. This is a measure of how much power we take from the grid, and that makes it into our data center and gets to become useful work. So achieving output from your server where your application is hosted. And the industry average is 1.7 by Microsoft, building new data centers all the time, using the latest and greatest technology, fighting all these difficult problems to solve. We achieve an industry average of 1.12. So that means you're going from an industry average of losing 70% of the power that you take from the grid to getting 88% of that power to where you need it to do useful work in Azure. So when you adopt Azure for your applications, we can provide all these emissions trackings to you, and you can be fairly sure that you'll save as much as 30% of the emissions compared to using an industry standard data center for some of those services. And the last thing I talked about was flexibility, and I really wanted to just nail in on, yes, all the components of the application are pay as you go, but it's also flexibility to innovate. So Microsoft's mission when we were founded was to put a PC on every desk. Today we want to put Copilot on every desk. You wouldn't employ someone today without giving them a computing device to get more done, and we think in the age of AI it's going to be exactly the same. We want to put AI or Copilots into every application. Applications is where these AI models start to create intelligent experiences. That's where the impact happens. And then that's how we think we can continue to empower every organization and every person on the planet to achieve more. And I want to go to my last slide, which is just talking about we're delivering on that mission. So today already, our partnership with OpenAI is only 10 months old. We've already helped over 50,000 organizations add these models into their AI, into their services. And we're looking forward to doing the same thing with Integra and Centros, and you'll hear more about that in the rest of the event. But that's it from me today. I'm going to hand over to Justin, who's going to talk to you about Integra and the Centros team. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Good morning. I'm just going to share my webcam and come on board with you. Hello, I'm Justin Taylor. I'm head of pre-sales. Today, I'm going to talk to you about our managed services and really supporting your journey to the cloud. So let me give you a scenario. It's 3 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon and your server falls over. Now, if your system's in-house, that's a real problem. But actually, what does IBSS Managed Services do for you? Well, it resolves your issues quicker. It will improve your system's reliability, and you just talked about that uptime, and it will give you back the time to your organization to solve to not solve these problems and do other things. So let's just have a little overview of IBSS's managed services. Well, we are the suppliers of Integra. We develop it and build it ourselves. We've got the expertise in-house to manage that for you. And we place it on Azure because that optimizes the system. It lets it run in the best way possible. It will also help you achieve and maintain compliance and strengthen your digital defenses. We run a lot of government contracts, and so therefore we put additional security around Azure. We've also got real-time monitoring of the system, and that will ultimately improve your resolution times because we will monitor and track if anything goes wrong and fix it probably before you even know anything's happened. And there's also somebody else to manage your issues as well. We've got service delivery managers as part of our managed services, and I'll go into that in just a moment. So, like I said, what this does for you is it improves your organization's productivity and its efficiency. So let's look at our managed services in more detail. It's really a wraparound managed service. And if I look at this, there's several elements to it. So we have technical expertise. We've got qualified experts. We are Microsoft Gold partners. We've got the Azure expertise in-house to manage your Azure platform. Like I said, we optimize it to work with Integra, and we've got the security consultants around it to make sure it's secure. So none of your data is going to get out into the outside world. We've got service delivery managers. What they will do is they will basically be your point of contact, and they will give you quarterly account reviews, as well as give you a monthly reporting pack and be your point of escalation should something go wrong. So you've always got somebody in-house to talk to if there's a problem and you need it sorted out. And they will provide full support management. And that just isn't things going wrong, but it's actually day-to-day activities like enhancing security around the system or putting upgrades onto the system and making sure those updates, those security updates are up to date to make sure your system's in order and the best it can be. So basically, what we've got as part of this is our ability to use Azure and have multi-region switching should something go wrong. So we've got all those updates in place, but should something go wrong, we've actually got the ability to switch over to another server or alternatively to recover with Azure. We've also got database experts in-house as well. So should you need database expertise, we have those consultants on hand. And should there be a cyber threat, we've also got the expertise to manage that as well. So this whole wraparound service really ensures that what you've got is the most reliable system you can have. So let's just summarize that. We're putting your system on market-leading technologies. So we've got Centros on Azure platform. We've got the agility to grow that. And as Matt will talk about in a moment, we can add AI onto that platform as well. Azure itself is in the cloud. So if you should want to grow larger, then we can actually scale up as you require. And then we've also got the expertise to actually run the system in-house. We've got specialist expertise, the best-in-class experts you can have. That ultimately will give you time and resource efficiencies, make it easier for you to focus on your activities in-house rather than focusing on running your Integra Centros system. And with that service delivery manager that we've got, we'll also give you advisory expertise as well. So you've got continual access to technical expertise to solve any complex problems you might have. And ultimately, this can save you money. So it gives you a predictable pricing model. If you look at buying something in-house yourself, you've got to spec that out. And then if that goes wrong, you've got the risk to actually replace that. We've also got the ability to reduce headcount because you don't need the expertise in-house to run Integra. And we can reduce those third-party fees around cybersecurity, etc. So really what we're doing is we're giving you a very efficient service to help and manage your system. I'm now going to pass over to Matt, who will tell you about IBSS's solutions, or digital solutions. Over to you, Matt.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt McCall, Head of Digital Solutions. It's great to see you all here today. The Digital Solutions team within IBSS are a team that supports our clients on their cloud and other digital transformation journeys. As a team, we consist of enthusiastic technologists comprising of technical project managers, cloud architects, development team, and business analysts. We have over 30 years experience in providing all types of solutions to both the public and private organizations. And we're excited about the problems we can solve for you and opportunities we can create. The move to the cloud can be just the start of a digital transformation journey, and we very much want to work in partnership with you and support you on that journey. Our values are key to achieving the outcomes, and we believe our approach of putting the customer first, constant collaboration and feedback, and using an agile approach to focus on outcomes that deliver value will position you to leverage all the opportunities that a move to the cloud can bring now and into the future. Whilst organizations understand the importance of digital innovation and transformation, knowing where to start can be a significant challenge. End users will expect a modern and intuitive user experience. IT teams will want a solution that is secure and empowers them to innovate. Business leaders will want analytics and insights that facilitate them in making the right decisions for the business. Considering all of this as part of a digital transformation to the cloud can be overwhelming. But our experience and hands-on approach will help guide you through this journey. Next slide, please. The main challenges we see for our clients these days is the velocity of digital innovation. High-performing organizations need to continuously innovate, requiring accurate business insights to facilitate quick decision-making, and having the right ecosystem to enable these outcomes is key. All too often, we see the same problems across organizations. Legacy applications starting to fail, data silos with no one view of the truth, reliance on key individuals that have that tribal knowledge around certain processes and systems, inconsistent user experiences, poorly integrated systems with no view of data in real time, and reliance on multiple vendors hindering support. The move to cloud with IBSS and Microsoft is a step in the right direction to addressing some of these challenges. Next slide, please. So what is our solution? The Integra platform on Azure. The digital solutions team will help you solve these problems and achieve high value, secure and sustainable outcomes by using the Integra platform hosted in Microsoft Azure. This is the same platform that Centros has been built on, but in digital solutions we use it for all sorts of wonderful and innovative solutions across both public and private sectors. This platform will provide the digital backbone and tooling to allow us together to solve those challenges mentioned earlier and create compelling experiences for both your back office, frontline users and services. We'll use the existing out-of-the-box Integra components, appropriate configurations and new development where required to deliver these solutions. We believe that this ecosystem in Azure, along with our expertise, will facilitate you in achieving rapid innovation and real digital transformation that ensures business outcomes are achieved. Best of all, as an Integra Centros customer, you'll be making the most of an asset and license you already have. With our support, we can leverage it to do much more and maximize your return on investment now and into the future. To date, we have successfully delivered multiple solutions for national organizations that support customer portals for hundreds of thousands of users, facilitate millions of payments through back-end systems in Integra Centros. We're embarking on multiple exciting projects that will leverage the power of AI in Azure to deliver intelligent document processing solutions, AI-powered virtual assistants, and using machine learning and AI models to implement predictive analysis to deliver those all-important insights and dashboard reports to enable those strategic business decisions. As a team, we're very excited about the problems we can solve for you and solutions we can create using the Integra platform on Azure infrastructure with Azure services. Should you have any questions on any of that, please feel free to contact us, and I'll hand over to Andy to wrap things up. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, so in a few moments we'll move on to the Q&A. But first, we'd just like to conduct a quick poll, and we'd be grateful if you could provide us with some responses over the next couple of minutes. There are just a couple of questions which will serve to aid our understanding and help us to support you going forward. Principally, does your organisation have a cloud strategy, and do you want to arrange a follow-up session with one of our experts in due course? So you should receive the poll on screen over the next few seconds. Just leave a little bit of time for those responses to come in. Whilst that is going on, just to let you know that we will follow up today's meeting with an information pack and also details of our website landing page where you can register to subsequently view a recording of today's session. Okay, just allow a few more minutes for the responses. Okay, so as regards to questions, time permitting, we'll try to work through that. I've seen a few come through on the chat, so thanks for that and thanks for your input. We'll try and work through it. If there's anything we can't respond to, either because we don't have the technical knowledge or we need more time, we will make sure that we respond to all questions and we'll follow those up in the information pack. The first question that I'm seeing, and it's one that is probably the most common, is that how long does an upgrade to the packages on the Centros platform take and to move into Azure from an on-premise solution? Okay, so just break that down a little bit. Firstly, to move the Integra solution into Azure, you don't have to be on the Integra Centros platform. You can move Integra into Azure. However, Integra Centros is our latest development platform. It's optimized for Azure, and therefore we would expect a project, if you are moving Integra 2 into the cloud as the first step, we would expect a follow-up upgrade project to take you to Centros. But either way, you can move Integra 2 or Integra Centros into Azure, but Integra Centros being the preferred option. So what's the process and what's the duration? So the process for moving from typically an on-premise solution into Azure is that we engage with you and we work through a sort of questionnaire style document to understand your individual configuration, your integration points with Integra, whether you've got any bespoke, and if you have, are you still using it, that sort of thing. And we sort of map out the config that you've got and the setup that you've got, which helps us to do a couple of things. It helps us to size the capacity and infrastructure in Azure that's needed, but it helps us to understand those components and how you're actually running the system, so that we can also map out the project, and ultimately that allows us to build the pricing model and the project plan to get you from A to B. Typically, a project to move an on-premise solution into Azure is probably about 2 to 3 months, and that's through the design and setup of a test system in Azure first, before ultimately, once that's tested and UAT'd, a go live. So probably 2 to 3 months. I will caveat that insofar that if you are running a SQL database for Integra, then it's more seamless. If you're running Oracle database, then Oracle database needs to be migrated to SQL. So there's an extra step in the process that adds a little bit more time. Ultimately, we are reliant upon you as the customer to do the UAT and devote some resource to that. So when I say 2 to 3 months, depending on resource availability, depending on the time of year, that could step out to 3 or 4 months perhaps. If you've got a lot of bespoke or a lot of complexity within your setup, then the project may take a little bit longer, but it's more around the UAT aspects of and testing the end-to-end processes once you're in the cloud than actual groundwork to build a solution. We've done many of these. Approximately 45% now of our customers are running in Azure. That will increase over the next 12 months to around 60%. As we start to move clients both from on-premise solutions and from our existing Capita data center at Spring Park, which is being decommissioned in due course. So we've got a number of projects in flight and running at the moment. So coming back to the question, 2 to 3 months in isolation if you look at a move from on-premise into Azure. If you add in the phase, another phase, for example, of upgrading to Centros as part of that, if you are running Integra 2, then again, you're probably looking at another couple of months for that project and for that upgrade. So typically, for a move to Azure and a move to Centros in phase 1, phase 2, you're looking at probably a 4-month project to get you from A to B. I hope that helps to answer the question. Any more? Can you expand with more information on the customer supplier portals? I guess that's one for Matt. Matt, join us.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Andy. So customer portals, probably can't go into too many specifics, but for a lot of our clients, we have used basically the Integra platform to be public facing. So we would use some of the components that you may or may not be familiar with, like key forms. There could be some custom development, etc. But it's essentially E-Series, but in a public facing way to facilitate different kind of customers that may come in. And normally the scenarios that we would see there is that they may be completing some type of service request that may require them to upload a document or make a payment and something like that. So a typical flow for customer portals would be that users log in, there will be a self-registration process there. We've implemented multi-factor authentication now. Again, ideally, most of these are now hosted in Azure, so you have all the comfort around the resilience, high availability, the security, that Daniel's touched on at the start. Public-facing portal, facilitating service requests. As I said, normally a user completing a form, and that could be an e-form generated by yourselves, or it could be a custom development, and they complete that form. Normally actions at the end of it, might upload some documentation, might make a payment, and once that form is completed, that may trigger some other workflow. Again, we would use the tasks, the X queries, the workflow within Integra to help progress and whatever that service request is. And then there may be some follow-on integrations into Integra, for example, with the payments, and normally something gets approved or signed off, and that may trigger further kind of emails or some follow-up action as to what that original service request was. So in a very general sense, that's what our customer portals do.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Sorry, I suppose just to touch on that, I mentioned that we were kind of working on projects at the moment in the AI space. So again, that's the virtual assistants, essentially kind of chatbots that you might see. So, but they're chatbots on a new level, and so implemented that in some of our public-facing sites. The document intelligence as well, which is really OCR, but also kind of moved to the next level, taking all that unstructured data and being able to kind of process it in a structured way, and also classification of any kind of documentation that might be coming in. And then once that data is in there, again, driving that workflow of those insights off those different kind of requests. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. Yeah. I'm seeing another question, which is, I know we touched on it a few seconds ago with regards to how easy is it to migrate from an Oracle database to an Azure database. The prerequisite for hosting in Azure is that it's SQL database. So there is that extra step that I mentioned before, which is a migration from Oracle to SQL. Typically, it's a few technical consultancy days to do that. It impacts things like reports that we help you to fix and analyze. It throws up Oracle to SQL, throws up a few sort of syntax errors. But we've done many of these. I mean, for example, our Spring Park data center, of the 30 or so clients that have been running in Spring Park, all of those are Oracle databases, and having moved around 15 already of those clients out into Azure, we've been through that sort of transformation process with Oracle to Azure. So it's tried and tested. We've got the expertise in house to be able to deal with that and support you. I hope that answers the question. Just looking to see. Does the move to Azure with IBSS include Azure single sign-on? Can you briefly explain Azure single sign-on and how this differs to Azure? Are they separate, and can Azure single sign-on be easily achieved without moving to Azure? So can perhaps bring either Matt or maybe Andrew back in on that one, on the question around single sign-on, just to try and articulate and explain the process.
Yes, I suppose maybe Andy, if you want to talk about the general identity management in Azure with Microsoft, I can probably pick up on that then after. I think you're still muted there, Andy.
Thank you. Yeah, that took a while. Thank you. Hello. Yeah, I'll come in, Matt, and I really don't want to stack up a bigger development log for you and your team. But listen, Azure's made up of a lot of components, right? And Azure Single Sign-On is one of those components. People that don't know, it's an identity management platform. We call it Entra. It provides loads of capabilities, so you can log on with a single experience that you're used to at work across multiple third-party applications. It's one of the components now available in Azure. It's separate to Azure, and Integra Centros team can develop for it. So specifically to your question, can it be separate? I guess that's a question over to Matt, but it's certainly a technology we've developed. It's already in the Azure stack, and Matt and his team have access to it. That can be a task they do for customers. I'll hand to you, Matt.
Cheers, Andy. Yeah, so yeah, traditionally we've obviously had a proprietary way of logging into Integra, Centros, our kind of custom solutions as well. There's also the option to integrate with Active Directory, and then on the more recent, or actually across all the frameworks now, we have the MFA solution, multi-factor authentication solution, which also uses Microsoft Authenticator. So in terms of Entra, we're probably not there yet. It's certainly on our roadmap. As we move more kind of clients into Azure, we will have that option of being able to use the Entra Identity Management System to facilitate access control on our solutions. So it's not there at the moment, but certainly on the roadmap.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I'll just revisit the question before. I think we perhaps, or I took the question out of context slightly. I think the question was about upgrading to packages on the cloud platform. So how long would it take to upgrade to one or more of the packages once you're on the cloud platform? The managed service provides for those upgrades and updates to packages. So that's planned via the service delivery manager as part of the overall solution. And to do that upgrade, it's more or less seamless. If you've got the existing software and package, then it is just a case of booking that time with the service delivery manager and or technical consultant to introduce that upgrade. Again, depends on the complexity of that upgrade in terms of enhancements to a package. If there's a lot of enhancements and you're going to use a lot of those enhancements, then again, you might want to do some UAT against that packaging test, and that might just protract the upgrade a little bit if that's what you're seeking to do. But essentially, with the managed service wrap and the service delivery manager, you have that ability to upgrade your packages almost overnight, really, into Azure. And we don't have the same challenges that we do with many of our on-premise clients with having to get permission to log in and run services, etc., etc. So I hope that that answers that one. If there are any more questions that you think of after this session today, then please don't hesitate. Get in touch, and we'll add those into the information and follow up. But I hope it was beneficial for you today. Thank you to everyone for taking time out to attend this session. Really appreciated. Today's session was designed to provide a greater insight and rationale for you to be thinking about your cloud strategy. In a half-hour session, we're scratching the surface, really. So I would encourage you to engage with your account managers, service delivery managers, if you have one, to explore our Azure solution in more depth over the coming weeks. We can arrange one-to-one sessions with each and every one of you to work jointly to build and support that cloud strategy. For those who've requested via the poll today a follow-up meeting with one of our experts, we'll work through those and we'll be in touch shortly to arrange those. There was just one other question which I will just finish off on, is that someone mentioned on the questions that the price of the hosted and managed solution had been prohibitive in the past, and have refined the pricing. We do have a different pricing model now, so please talk to us. What went on before under the banner of Capita has changed. We're part of ADVT Group now. We're in control of our own destiny to a much greater degree. So please just talk to us. Pricing shouldn't be a barrier going forward. So yeah, I hope that that was beneficial. Look forward to speaking to you all again over the coming weeks. We are planning more and more events to help with the lines of communication as we begin to develop and build out our technology and product roadmap. I'd like to thank Andrew Daniels, Justin Taylor and Matt McCall for presenting, and each and every one of you for your time and for listening, and of course contributing, so thank you. Also thanks to Pritpal, Verg and Tom Thornhill for organising the session today. So please don't hesitate, get in touch. Any additional questions you might think of, then let us know. We just want to support you and we want to help you to make those informed decisions going forward. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.